Bookkeeping for Non-Accountants. Lesson 1 by Chizo. Hello friends, it's your girl Chizo. I understand that you and many other dear friends of mine struggle to maintain books of account in your business. Many even dislike the idea of accounting itself. And yet, the success of your business depends on you keeping your records in order. How else would you know whether you are succeeding or failing? Your decision making is dependent on these records. What if I showed you an effective, proficient, and yet simple way of keeping your records in order, and you don't even need to be an accountant? In fact, you don't even need formal education. Come with me and let me show you 8 simple steps on how we can do this together. Step 1. All you need are these 4 things. 1. A bank account. This is a place for you to deposit and withdraw funds. 2. A petty cash voucher book. This is a useful accounting document for recording small routine expenses in a business. This book contains vouchers that should be sequentially numbered and should be in triplicate, which is 3 copies which are carbon copied. On the right is a sample of a voucher. 3. A checkbook voucher, which is similar to a petty cash voucher book. This is a document that records bank transactions such as payments or receipts. This book similarly contains vouchers that should be sequentially numbered and should be in triplicate. On the right is a sample of a voucher. And 4. An Excel sheet. An Excel spreadsheet is a worksheet in a Microsoft Excel workbook that organizes data in rows and columns. We will use it to record the transactions that have been recorded in the petty cash voucher and the check voucher. We need 2. 1 to record the transactions we have recorded in the petty cash voucher, and another for the transactions we have recorded in the check voucher. Step 2. This step describes the procedures required to maintain and open a bank account. This is a place for you to deposit and withdraw funds. In a bank, deposits are made by adding money to your account, either by physically handing cash to a teller, depositing a check, or transferring funds electronically. While withdrawals involve taking money out of your account, typically by requesting cash at a teller, using an ATM, writing a check, or initiating an electronic transfer to another account. Both can be done in person at a branch or through online banking platforms. What do you need to open a bank account? To open a bank account, you'll usually need 1. Identification, which is a valid government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license, a passport, state ID, or military ID. 2. Personal information, your national identification, such as Social Security number or individual taxpayer identification number, your date of birth, and proof of residence. 3. Opening deposit. Some banks require an initial deposit to open an account. Other requirements may include 1. Being at least 18 years old. 2. Removing any security freezes or fraud alerts on your credit report. 3. Having a partner, parent, or guardian, co-signer, or joint account holder. 4. Providing a secondary form of identification, such as a bill with your name and address on it, or your birth certificate. The process for opening a bank account may vary slightly depending on the bank's criteria and the type of account you are opening. For example, some banks may check your criminal record and citizenship before allowing you to open an account. Step 3. Let's go into the detail of what a petty cash voucher is. A petty cash voucher is a useful accounting tool for recording small, routine expenses in a business. This book contains vouchers that should be sequentially numbered and should be in triplicate. To record a transaction in a voucher, you need to fill out the necessary details on the voucher form. This form should be in triplicate and have carbon copy. You should fill out the date, the payee or payer, description of the transaction, and the amount. Collect any relevant supporting documents, like invoices or receipts. Once you are done, tear out one of the 3 copies of the voucher and attach the supporting documents, and these should be filed in order of voucher number. The other 2 copies can remain in the voucher book. The goal of all this is to create a clear record of the transaction for accounting purposes. Essentially, you're documenting the inflows and outflows of funds related to the transaction on the voucher itself, which will later be posted to the Excel worksheet that I will explain later. Key steps to record a transaction on a voucher. Identify the transaction type. Determine whether the transaction is a payment or receipt. Gather supporting documents. You have to collect relevant documentation like invoices, receipts, or purchase orders to ensure accuracy. Next, we're going to fill out the voucher details. So we're going to fill out the voucher number. Assign a unique voucher number if the vouchers are not pre-numbered. We're going to fill out the date. Enter the date of the transaction. Next, we're going to fill out the name of payee or payer. If applicable, include the name of the vendor or customer involved. And then description. Provide a clear description of the transaction. And then we are going to fill in the amount. We are going to enter the total amount of the transaction. The next 3 procedures are for quality control. So we're going to double check for accuracy. We're going to verify that all information is correct, including the payments of receipts before submitting the voucher for approval. For approval processes, some businesses require approvals on vouchers before they are posted to the Excel sheet. If possible, you may need to have someone to check and sign off on the vouchers for quality control purposes. The accounting software. Most businesses use expensive accounting software to automate voucher creation and recording, which helps in simplifying the process. In this case, we are going to create our own simplified one using an Excel worksheet. Step 4. The check voucher. Similar to a petty cash voucher, a check voucher is a document that records a bank transaction, such as a payment or receipt. This book contains vouchers that should be sequentially numbered and should be in triplicate. To record a transaction in a voucher, you need to fill out the necessary details on the voucher form. This form should be in triplicate and have carbon copy. You should fill out the date, the payee or payer, description of the transaction, and the amount. Collect any relevant supporting documents like invoices or receipts. Once you are done, tear out one of the 3 copies of the voucher and attach the supporting documents. And these should be filed in order of voucher number. The other 2 copies can remain in the voucher book. The goal of all this is to create a clear record of the transaction for accounting purposes. Essentially, you're documenting the inflows and outflows of funds related to the transaction on the voucher itself, which will later be posted to the Excel worksheet. Key steps to record a transaction on a voucher. Identify the transaction type. Determine whether the transaction is a payment or receipts. Gather supporting documents. Collect relevant documentation like invoices, receipts, or purchase orders to ensure accuracy. Now let's fill out the voucher details. 1. Voucher number. Assign a unique voucher number if the vouchers are not pre-numbered. Date. Enter the date of the transaction. Name of payee or payer. If applicable, include the name of the vendor or customer involved. Description. Provide a clear description of the transaction. And lastly, the amount. Enter the total amount of the transaction. For quality control purposes, double-check for accuracy. Verify that all information is correct, including the payments or receipts, before submitting the voucher for approval. Approval process. Some businesses require approvals on vouchers before they are posted to the Excel sheet. If possible, you may need to have someone to check and sign off on the vouchers for quality control purposes. Accounting software. Most businesses use accounting software to automate voucher creation and recording, which simplifies the process. In this case, we are going to create our own simplified one using an Excel worksheet. Step 5. The Excel worksheet. It is used to record the transactions recorded in the petty cash voucher and the check voucher. You need to prepare 2 separate worksheets. One for the transactions recorded in the cash voucher and another for the transactions recorded in the check voucher. Next step, we're going to populate the check and petty cash Excel sheets, and I will demonstrate that later. We're going to do that by 1. Filling in the date column, 2. Filling in the voucher number column, 3. Filling in the payee column, 4. Filling in the total column, and finally, filling in the chart of accounts. I am shortly going to explain what a chart of accounts is. What is a chart of accounts? These are unique identifiers used to categorize and record financial transactions in an accounting system. They show how transactions are classified and recorded in the accounting records. It allows you to break down all the transactions that your business made during a specific period into different subcategories. A chart of accounts enables you to gain insight into the effectiveness of different areas of your business. Every single transaction of a business should be recorded only within the chart of accounts you have established. This is specific for every business. Here is an example of a chart of accounts. And usually, this is usually the format that a chart of accounts should follow. Every business is different. Every business receives income. So for instance, if you're running a clothing business, you're going to record all income of your sales under 001. And if you have to withdraw money from your bank account for petty cash, you're going to record all that withdrawal in account 002. Salaries of the business will be recorded in 003, rentals in 004, electricity, not only the electricity bill, but even repairs to your electricity system will be recorded in 005. Same as water, all maintenance of water and water bills will be recorded in 006, and this does not include drinking water. 007 will be used to record all stationery, your pens, your pencils, your paper. Office groceries such as juices, coffees, cookies, water, drinking water will be recorded in 008. Motor vehicles, fuel, and generator fuel, any form of fuel, and it is called gas in some countries, will be recorded in 009. Motor vehicle repairs, small or big, will be recorded in 010. 011 will be for purchase of assets, that is vehicles. 012 will be for purchase of furniture. You have to limit how you're going to record all your expenditure because you need to know whether you're spending too much in one group, in which case you need to make a decision to reduce on your spending. That is why we have to categorize every expenditure that we're going to make in the business. Shortly, I will show you how we're going to put all these in an Excel worksheet for the sake of decision making. So come with me and open an Excel spreadsheet so that we can now populate the spreadsheet and make our own workbook, which we will be using to fill in all the information that we have put in the voucher books. So we're going to use the same template for both cash and check. But separately. So one will be for cash, one will be for check. So a template looks like this, and it has columns A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. And it also has horizontal rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So the first thing we'll fill in, which is also on the voucher books, is the date. Then we're going to fill in voucher number. Then we're going to go ahead and type in payee, or payer in this case actually. Then we're going to type in total. Next, we're going to fill in the chart of accounts as we established, and this is different from every organization, but I gave you an example of a chart of accounts that I established for myself. So we have sales on 001, we have petty cash on 002, salaries 003, rent, electricity, water, stationery, groceries, which is office groceries, fuel, which can also be gas, motor vehicle repairs, assets in terms of vehicles, and then assets in terms of furniture. So we fill all of that in. So what we're creating is a template. So what we're going to do now, I like to just make it look more professional. So you can do it if you want. So what I like doing is to put borders on my spreadsheet, and I do it like this. So I go there, and then I choose all borders. So there you go. So it has borders now. And then the next thing I do, because these are now titles, I am now going to make them bold. You can go ahead and make them bold if you want. If you want, you can even make them bigger. But I like to do it like that. And I'm going to underline with a thick bottom border my titles. There you go. So everything we've put is what was already on the payment voucher. Okay, so now we're going to put formulas. Now the way we put formulas is under total, the total of everything under a row. What we're trying to establish that in a row, what is the total? And we're going to put a formula right there. Now this is how we put the formula. We'll go there to the total sum, and then we highlight where we want the total to be, what we want added up. So everything along this row is what we want to add up. We don't have to do it the same for each of the rows. All we can do is just cut that. So that gives you the sum from E66 to P6, okay? And the next thing we're going to do is just copy that and then, paste it. Then just enter. So there, the formulas are there. You can see the little dash there. So the formulas have already been worked on. So there we have the sum from E7 to P7, E8 to P8. And it goes on and on and on all the way down. So we have put our formulas. So what we're creating is a template. So we're going to get one template for cash, vouchers, entries, and one template for check, voucher, entries, okay? Next thing, we're going to put formulas at the bottom. So before we do that, I have put in red the balance brought forward from the previous month. How much balance did we have from the previous month? And what we had from the previous month is what we carry forward in the current month. And I'll show you how we do that later. So, and I like to put it in red. You can put it in black if you want, but I like to put it in red because I'd like it to stand out when I look at my worksheet. So there you have it. So at the bottom, I'm going to put formulas as well. So these formulas are going to establish the total in a column. So for instance, for sales, how much sales have we made in the month? And we're going to find the total for that, like that. Establish the total. And then the formula is established. And then we'll do the same as we did before. We're going to just copy that for every item in the columns. So we have the total for all the sales in the organizations for the month, because we're going to do these every month. So we have the total for petty cash withdrawals, totals for salaries, totals for rent, totals for electricity, totals for water, stationery, grocery, and so on and so forth. Why do we want to know the totals? Because we want to know how much we've spent in the month in each chart of accounts. This helps in decision making, because when you discover that you're spending too much in one line item, you're going to have to make decisions to reduce the costs. So we're going to now go ahead and give an example. Let's start inputting some transactions. Step 6, record check transactions in an Excel sheet. So now that we have the template, let's open one for a check transaction as an example. So we've already filled in the balance brought forward from the previous month which was $200. This is just an example. $200, 200, whatever currency you have in your country. So under date, we're going to put 1st of January, 2025. And then we're going to put, so each of these details are details from each check voucher. So voucher number 100, we received sales from the sales that we made from our clothing line. Remember, we're making an example of a clothing business. So we record it as a positive under sales, and it was 11,000. So this came into the bank account. Remember, the check voucher only records transactions in a bank account. So on the 1st again, 1st of January again, voucher number, say 101, payee, let's say we withdrew from the bank some petty cash because we need some petty cash to run the day-to-day expenditure, okay? So we're going to go to petty cash, which according to the chart of accounts is 002. So right there. So because we're withdrawing from our account, it is a negative. Everything we withdraw is a negative. Anything that is deposited or anything we receive will be a positive. So our petty cash, and you can have a policy, your petty cash can be 1,000 per time. Okay. So there it is. And under totals, it automatically comes because remember we already put in the formulas. Okay. So let's say it's the 3rd of January 2025, and it's voucher number 102. And remember, the voucher numbers all have to have supporting documentation attached to it because we need to know the details of every transaction. Okay. So the payee is, the money is going to head office, for instance, and let's say it's salaries. Okay. So we're going to pay salaries worth 2,000, and the total comes in there. Okay. So you look at the bottom, it will show you the total of the salaries. Okay. And then the total on the left as well. Okay. And if you look at the balance carried forward, if we ended here, the balance carried forward would be 8,200. Okay. So we fill in all the other transactions for the month. Let's assume we have other transactions that have come in. And then at the end of the month, what we'll come up with is a whole transaction for the month of January. Only January. So we're not going to put February in this month. So we have the balance brought forward from December 2024, and then we have the transactions for 2025 right there. So when you look at the bottom, you're going to see, for instance, under electricity, we spent 200, under water, we spent 150, under stationery, we spent 300, under groceries, we spent 400, under fuel, we spent 300, under motor vehicle repairs, we spent 500, assets, we bought vehicles worth 30,000, and then we bought furniture worth 10,000. Okay, so this now helps you know the status of your business. Okay, and then we have the totals there for each of the transactions, and each of these totals is exactly what is on the payment voucher. Remember, because the total actually represents what's on the payment voucher. And then we have the balance carried forward into the next month, February, of 350. And this 350 is the one which will come in the next month as a balance brought forward. So there you have it. Remember that all incomes are recorded as positives and all payments are recorded as negatives, okay, because you're removing from your account. So it is as simple as that. So we're done with the check voucher and check Excel worksheet. We're now going to give you an example of how to enter cash transactions. and you do not mix cash transactions and bank transactions. Step 7. Record petty cash transactions in an Excel sheet. So let's go ahead and record a cash transaction. Remember, we already populated a template that we'll use for either cash or check. So this now is going to be a cash worksheet. So we're going to start with the transactions. Our formulas are put and we're ready to fill in our transactions. So we'll go ahead and put the balance brought forward with petty cash. We're not going to do petty cash per month. We're going to put petty cash based on when we actually get the petty cash. So for each amount of money, for instance, we already established that it's 1,000. For every time 1,000 is depleted, we're going to request for another 1,000. So it's per request. So in this case, there was a balance brought forward of 30. And we're going to fill in the balance carried forward as well. And then we're going to fill in the transactions. So there we go. These are the petty cash transactions. So the first entry is voucher number 200 petty cash. And in this case, we have received petty cash of 1,000. Remember the bank, in the bank it was a negative. In the bank check Excel sheet, it was a negative. But because we have received it in this account, it's a positive. And all the other expenditure in the petty cash Excel sheet is negative because we're paying out the money, and the money is from the 1,000 that we have received from the bank. Okay, so we have paid our electricity bill, we have paid our water bill in cash, because some of these expenditures are so small and they're so sudden that we just need a cash transaction, and that's what petty cash is all about. So we bought groceries, maybe there's water, maybe there's coffees and all that. So we have used cash. And all of these are cash expenditures. Motor vehicle repairs could have been that you're buying a battery, for your remote or whatever it is. Okay. So at the end of the day, we have a balance of 40. So we have a balance brought forward of 30, we added the 1,000 and we removed the expenditure, and the balance carried forward until our next replenishment, which will be in our cash box, is 40. Okay, and at the bottom we have the total spent under each line, so we are able to tell how much we've spent under each line item, which is the chart of accounts, to help us make our decisions better. And finally, step 8, any other business. So there you have it. We have prepared every possible transaction any organization prepares. But if you require statutory financial records such as trial balance, cash flow statements, income and expenditure accounts, and balance sheet, any qualified accountant is able to use these records that you have prepared to create them. You can also prepare the bank reconciliation statement. Just download or collect the bank statement from your bank. You can also prepare a petty cash reimbursement statement with the petty cash information that you've prepared. Thank you for joining me. And if you want further clarification or help, please contact me using the information that has been provided in the description box. Thank you very much.